Well, all right. Hello and good Monday morning. This is Michael Loftus for Wealth and Wisdom TV, where education is the key to a successful financial future. So, last week we tried to do a live webinar. Did not work out so well, but we always learn from our mistakes. So, here we are. We're going to do on Mondays when we don't have a video on the markets, just a quick update, market update, couple charts, couple things, in and out in 5 minutes, I promise, okay? I know it's tough for me to stay under 5 minutes, so let's get after it. So first up, let's go ahead and talk about, well, see, we always have these little technical difficulties, right? All right, first up, we have our chart, short-term S&P daily, okay? What do we see here? First off, Friday, okay, had some big volume. Why? Well, it was a sell-off day. This is what we have, and you see a lot of reds in here, right? And we're kind of meandering along in the same area. Kind of interesting, funny that today I just saw a flash from CNBC stating that we're up today because of hopes for China deal. We'll talk about that. And earnings, and of course, we will talk about that as well. The bottom line is we have been stuck in this box for quite some time. I don't see us breaking out on the short term. Let's take a different view here on our daily chart before giving our signals. Bottom line is a lot of frustration because we've been sideways, right? Here's our top from last September. We came over here, and when you zoom in, what do we have? You could call that a triple top, or from a technical standpoint, this is a classic head and shoulders forming, which is not bullish at all. But we'll let the markets determine what we are going to do. So short term, not surprising. I have a positive signal, but just like I did here at the top, with a bias to the downside. I don't like what I see right now. We'll show that with some of the macro data in a second. So midterm view, we're going to take a quick look here. Really the same thing. Nothing has changed, right? But here's our quote-unquote line on the sand. Very definitive lines here. This is your support, right? Really comes out 28.25, and there's your resistance. There's your triangle. There just isn't many places to go. We could break out, we'll see, or break down, to be determined. But when I look at that and you go down here and look at momentum, still, this is momentum here. Black needs to go above red. We're still negative. So as you would expect, I am negative on my midterm. And we'll talk about what this all means with my next signal. So let's take a look at the long-term view. The first thing I'm going to do is focus in on the momentum transfer crossover, in case you haven't seen this before. Negative crossover back in 08, negative crossover in 15, and now we have a negative crossover from last fall. So you have to respect the negative crossover in momentum. The other big thing that I continue to see and have spoken about several times in our video is negative divergence. What does that mean? Very simple. Here, this is relative strength of the market. And when you look, you hit a high, then you hit a lower high, lower high, lower high. All the while, we're going up. So you have strength going down. That's what's behind the market. And the market going up, that is not a good sign long term. As you would expect here, we are long-term negative. So what does this mean to you as an investor? Well, always I talk about staying nimble, but right now it's a tough time to put a lot of new money to work, especially with the S&P. As we've shown, it has gone sideways for so long. That does not mean there's not opportunities in sectors, which I'll talk about in 1 second. So next up, let's take a quick look at some of our macro data. Earnings. So they're talking about positivity about earnings today. Look, we have been declining. We peaked in third quarter 2018. You see the numbers. So where are we as of Friday? So how can there be excitement? negative 3% on earnings growth, right? You buy stocks, you look at sectors based on future earnings, and it has not been good. This is the macro data. Yeah, we love the charts, but you still have to look under the hood at the data and look at some of these, right? Information technology, negative 34%. Hello. Next up, who's buying this market? FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. The individual investor, you can see them going all in, which is right here. This is the institutional investor. Allocation through last week is about 57%. Wait a second. So individuals all in, institutions not quite there. I think that's something that's important. So let's talk about China. I'm almost through this book I've been reading. I'll talk about it on a review coming up. The bottom line is there's no deal. There's a phase one to a deal of a deal, and it all was about soybeans. Big deal, right? You look at soybeans last week, yes, they jumped, okay, but besides that, especially this book that I'm reading, I should have brought it to show you. It's called The 100-Year Marathon, but they're not going to make a deal, okay? I've said this on and on and on, and you have to think about this, but while they're not making a deal, it's getting ugly in China. I've been saying this. They've been down from their highs about 15, 20. They've been big time in correction mode. They just had their worst GDP number since 1992. So that macro data continues to push us along. As far as there, what do we have next? Federal debt, right? QE, we know about this. This is what drove the market after our last recession. Well, we started this new project about a month ago, but don't call QE. Federal Powell, right? He doesn't want to call QE. He's just helping the system along. They have pumped $200 billion into this system. This is big, folks. So we've pumped in $200 billion. The market's gone sideways. This is all about the repo market. I'll put some links to some articles below, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and make sure you read about this. But basically, liquidity is drying up in the market. The market craves liquidity, and the Fed has had to step in. This needs to continue to be followed. So wrapping things up, coming up this week, we're going to release another video on Wednesday about stock market terms. Should be very helpful. Then we have our end of the month video as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this quick little, I said 5 minutes. I knew I couldn't do it, but good way to get your week started. You know where you're going. Hope to see you next week. Thanks so much for watching. Michael Loftus, Wealth and Wisdom TV.